Weijia Zhang and Nancy Cordes have been covering this campaign. We're going to start with Weijia, who was at the Harris rally last evening. Weijia, good morning to you again. What was the feeling there at that rally last night, and how do Democrats feel about their prospects there?
Good morning, Tony. Good morning, everybody. I think the feeling is the exact opposite of the mood inside the Trump rally, which obviously was dark as the former president talked about evil. But the Harris campaign is ending right where she started, and they wanted to do that with a note of joy, with happiness, with optimism, with turning the page toward the future. And so her team was ecstatic, and they really say they feel a tide shifting in their direction, not to mention the fact that she held that event on the steps of the Museum of Art, which, Tony, you know, everybody knows is also called the Rocky Steps because it symbolizes the rise of an underdog, which she has called herself from the very beginning. They're also really excited about the ground game. And that's what we keep hearing. They believe that's going to make all the difference in this election. And that's because there's been a steady decline of Democratic turnout in the city, which is so crucial for her win. And of course, it's overwhelmingly blue when people vote. And that's why they've been banking on the operation to win, with about 110,000 volunteers throughout the state knocking on some 5 million doors, Tony. So they think that's going to make the big difference. And those volunteers, they're still out today, knocking on doors and making calls, getting people to the polls like the one you see right behind me.
5 million doors. That is a lot of doors. My knuckles hurt just thinking about it. Weijia, thank you very much. We're going to turn now to Nancy Cordes, who has been speaking with the Harris campaign. Nancy, I'm curious, what are the places that the campaign is going to be keeping their eye on today? And if they have worries that they're willing to admit, what are they worried about most?
Well, there are a few states, Tony, battleground states, that report their results earlier than others, specifically Michigan, Georgia, and North Carolina. So those are the states they're going to be watching early in the night to see, how does it seem like she's doing in the Sun Belt? How does it seem she's doing in the Midwest? Is she getting out the vote in big suburban areas, those collar counties around Detroit and Atlanta and Charlotte and Raleigh? The Harris campaign has been open about the fact that they don't think that this election is necessarily going to look like past years where you've got all these tight races breaking one way. They say it's entirely possible this time around that she could win North Carolina but lose Georgia, or win Nevada but lose Arizona. They're fine with any combination as long as it gets them to 270.
You know, Nancy, not that long ago, Kamala Harris was out there using Trump, referring to Trump by name and mentioning some of his comments of late. Even ratifying the idea that he might be a fascist by the dictionary definition at the very least. But her strategy has shifted here in the final stretch. She even refrained from mentioning his name during these final speeches. Do you think voters will notice that shift and respond to that style this late in the game?
Everything that campaign has done over the past few days, Tony, has been designed to project momentum, to send a signal to voters that, hey, if you support Kamala Harris, if you're only willing to get out and vote, she's going to win this thing. And so looking past Trump is part of that strategy, meant to send a message that she's already looking forward to what comes next, that she's presidential, she's rising above it. In fact, just yesterday when J.D. Vance had that really startling moment where he called Kamala Harris trash, basically said it's time to take out the trash, and that means Kamala Harris. Even a few days ago, she would have responded to that. She would have been highlighting that for women voters. Not yesterday. The campaign had nothing to say about it.
Yeah, that was a remarkable moment. Also remarkable how beautiful the White House is in November. The lights slanting in, the leaves on the ground. 1 year from today, whoever's there next November will be a different person than who's living there now. Nancy, thank you very much. I appreciate it.